Haruki Murakami is an enigmatic and controversial Japanese writer that transcends traditions and makes up his own style. He is a novelist, essayist, and short story writer. His main titles like Men Without Woman, Kafka on the Shore, or 1Q84 are translated in over 50 languages and sold all around the world. Here are 6 fun facts about Murakami to get to know him better. Fun fact number 1, and I know this isn't exactly funny, but I found it quite interesting. Murakami and I shared the same birthday. He was born January 12, 1949, and I was born January 12, 2000. Haruki Murakami and his wife, Yoko Murakami, decided not to have children because, as he says, the world after the world just wouldn't improve. This is a characteristic he shares with many of his characters. For our fun fact number 3, Haruki Murakami is an experienced marathon runner. He completed in 1996 the 100-kilometer ultramarathon around Lake Saroma in the Hokkaido prefecture in Japan. His 2008 biography is titled What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. For our fun fact number 4, Haruki Murakami has been nominated to the Nobel Prize in Literature many times, the last time in 2008, but in every time he has asked for his name to be withdrawn from the nomination because he just wants to write away from mainstream media. Fun fact number 5 is that Murakami, along with his wife, owned a jazz bar in Tokyo called Peter's Cat. The fact number 6 and last fact is about Murakami's writing. He is influenced by many Western and American authors. That's why the Japanese literary establishment sometimes criticizes Murakami and calls his writing as un-Japanese. Now that we got to know Murakami a little better, let's talk about one of his titles, Men Without Woman. This is a short story collection published in Japanese in 2014 and then in the US in the English translated version in 2017. Because this is a short story collection, it's difficult to summarize because each story talks about something different with different characters, but the core topics are related. The stories talk about the loneliness, pain, and even death men feel when they don't have a partner or a woman with them. As the main character in Men Without Woman, the short story named after the title says. And once you become man without woman, loneliness slips down inside your body like red wine stained on a red carpet. So, the short stories all talk about the pain and how empty their life is when they don't have a partner with them or when they have the wrong partner besides them. To understand better the feelings and ideas Murakami wanted to transmit through his short stories, let's analyze one of them. An Independent Organ is the third story of the collection. It tells the story of the death of Dr. Tokai, a respected plastic surgeon living in Tokyo. Dr. Tokai didn't believe in marriage nor in commitment. He spent most of his life having frugal yet pleasant conversations with a lot of women. Until one day he fell in love and the person who he fell in love didn't correspond his feelings. This led him to starve himself to death because of the sorrow he felt. The first woman Dr. Tokai ever fell in love with had nothing special, besides being married and with a child. While they had secret meetings, Dr. Tokai feared the idea of her leaving him. But deep down he knew she would never leave her family, so she was already lost to begin with. When he learned that she left her family for a man who wasn't him, this broke his soul. When this happened, he realized the frugality of his life and came to the realization that nothing in his life had any meaning if she wasn't there with him. When she left Dr. Tokai, he entered a living hell. Suddenly, he was a simple human with no reason to continue. Dr. Tokai said to his friend, Mr. Tanimura, before the love of his life left, "Who in the world am I? I've been incessantly asking myself this, but no matter how much I ask, I can't find an answer. I just keep going on in circles. Things that I used to enjoy, I now find boring. I don't feel like exercising or buying clothes. It's too much trouble to sit down the piano anymore. I don't even feel much like eating. I just sit there and think about her. Even when I'm with a client, my mind's full of her. I'm afraid I might even blurt out her name." When she left Dr. Tokai had already given up most of the things he enjoyed in life. Furthermore, when he entered in his worst nightmare, the only thing he could do is think about who he is. He was she. His whole life, he was waiting for her, and when she vanished, he had to vanish as well. The sudden absence of her made Tokai realize his own existential loneliness and lack of meaning without a woman. Most of the stories Murakami wrote in this collection have similar topics. The void and emptiness a man feels when he realizes that he is alone or with the wrong partner. When people realize this, it's maddening. It leads them to become someone else entirely and forget who they were before. When I read Murakami's short stories, I couldn't stop. He writes in a way that if you start reading one of his short stories, you can't stop. He writes in a way that's just so intoxicating that you can't just leave it in one of those short stories in the middle and then finish it later. You have to finish it right that moment on the spot. Men Without Woman, and especially An Independent Organ, is a book that for me resembled a lot like Gabriel Garcia Marquez's way of writing, my favorite author. The story of how a man decides to starve himself to death because of how heartbroken he is, for me is a story that could be straight out of Macondo. I am eager to read more of Murakami's books, novels, and short stories, and dive deeper in how he writes. If they are as good as these ones, I am about to become one of Murakami's biggest fans, and Murakami is about to become one of my favorite writers. I hope that with this explanation, Murakami is about to become one of your favorite writers, because he is an author that it's worth reading, that it's worth your time, and that you just have to know who he is, how he writes, and at least finish one of his books.